The Chicago Bears just made more of their draft plan crystal clear. So here we are. There's many of you who don't believe that Caleb Williams is going to go number one to the Bears. Maybe it's because he isn't well liked right now. I get that. Maybe it's recovering from Fields going to the Steelers. For one, I get that. I just went through that. But many are clamoring for Jane Daniels, and I do not blame them. But what happened during his pro day yesterday, it looks to have crossed him off our list. I'll actually walk through the real reason the Bears contingent may have really been there. But this pro day visit, it was all about Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. More on them shortly. Let's look at Daniels a little bit. He's arguably just as good of a prospect as Caleb. He threw for just south of 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns last season. He also rushed for over 1,100 yards and an additional 10 touchdowns. He just won the Heisman. I'm going to go to the story on sportingnews.com. These guys are great. You guys know that. I always want to give credit. So Daniels, he's a top prospect in the draft, but more was made very clear during LSU's pro day. Ian Rappaport shared that immediately following his pro day, LSU quarterback and potential top 3 pick Jaden Daniels is scheduled to meet up with some NFL teams. On that list, the Patriots, the Commanders, the Giants, Minnesota, Denver, the Raiders. This is directly from Jaden's agent, Ron Butler. Who's not on that list? The Chicago Bears. Now we can walk through this, that it's a smokescreen. Poles has something up his sleeve and is trying to get teams to believe that he is drafting Williams. And if they really, really, really want him, they need to give us a kitchen sink to trade to number one. He's creating a bidding war, right? And it's going to be exciting. This is possible. I'm not going to flat out say no, but the most likely scenario here, it's decided. It's decided that Caleb Williams, he'll be our new quarterback. And although the NFL wants teams to not outright announce picks before the draft, Poles is to the point that he's no longer going through the motions of meeting with these top prospects moving forward. He is decided on Caleb. Everything points to a drama-free selection at number one this year. Williams tape, the team's rave reviews from their meeting in LA, the Justin Fields trade, the not so subtle hints at the Bears and Williams from the Bears and Williams alike, right? Figuring out the quarterback question, that was the biggest priority for the Bears in 2024. Now I think we have that answered. But the team, they still have several holes to fill on this roster, and they'll either use the number 9 pick to add another high-impact player or add more picks. I think moving forward, this is all about the number 9 pick. And another case in point, although the Bears will have a presence at UNC's Pro Day, and that's today, Poles, he's not even making the trip. That seems to cross Drake May off of this list as well. So how do we move forward? The best way to examine this is to see what time and resources have been invested in evaluating Caleb, watching film as they have everyone else, attending his Pro Day, and they even brought along Keenan Allen. They took him out to dinner with teammates before the pro day. They spent time talking to, and I quote, 30 to 40 people to figure out his character. And that's straight from GM Ryan Poles' mouth on the Pat McAfee show. So what's left? A top 30 visit to Halas Hall. That would be next week, and a chance to get his final medicals. All signs point to him coming to Chicago via the number 1 pick in the draft. And we haven't put this type of due diligence into any other quarterback prospects. So I think this is decided. So let's move on, assuming that. So why were we at LSU's Pro Day? It's all about these wide receivers and what the Bears are planning to do with this number 9 pick. Wide receiver Malik Neighbors, he posted extremely strong efforts in the 40-yard dash and the vertical leap. And then he and Brian Thomas Jr., my favorite prospect in the whole draft, they chased passes from Jaden Daniels one final time during this pro day. I think this quarterback is going to be great in the NFL personally. Daniels, he threw well downfield. He missed only a few deep passes early. He hit 2 nice back-to-back throws deep to Neighbors and Thomas. But his real success came when he weighed in. He was 210 pounds. The worry about his weight, that was a possible flag, but he's about where he should be. He's 6'3". He's been listed in several places as 185 and 190 pounds, but him weighing out at 210, that's a really good sign, and he's going to be the second or third best quarterback in this draft. Let's talk about Neighbors. Neighbors ran an absolutely elite 4.35 second 40. He had a ridiculous vertical of 42 inches. That was only a half inch off the best vertical at the combine this year. Thomas, he ran at the combine and his time was 4.33 seconds, and that was good for second fastest. He was actually just slightly ahead of Neighbors. LSU coach Brian Kelly, he wasn't surprised by any of the performances. Let's check out what he had to say here. And these are quotes. Physically and ability to separate from great players, there has to be something you look for. And that's Kelly talking about Neighbors. That's according to Zach Nagy, writing for Fan Nation's LSU Country. When you watch film, you see him separate from great players in the SEC. Today, you saw a 42-inch vertical, a 4.340. This ability to separate on the field, it's now backed up by the physical prowess you see with a 42-inch vertical and a 4.340 once again. More from Kelly. It validates what you see on film and that it's backed up by great physical traits. I think what it does more than anything else is that it shows he can separate with the ball in his hands. He can be explosive after the catch. Now it just comes down to who is the kind of guy you want to get the ball in their hands. I don't think there's a better receiver in the country. Really talk up Neighbors, and rightfully so. Neighbors, he's ranked as the third best wide receiver on Mel Kiper's big board, potentially a pick by the Bears at number 9 if available. Thomas is also regarded on many mock drafts as a first-round pick. Thomas Jr., he's also considered a first-round prospect, and he's more likely to get selected in the middle of the first round, somewhere in the 20s maybe. That would be a huge bargain. I absolutely love Thomas Jr. He doesn't have as much college playing experience as some of these top targets that a lot of people are talking about, but he had a major breakout season in 2023. Both Thomas and Neighbors had 1,000-yard seasons in 2023, but here's the thing. Brian Thomas Jr., he had 1,177 yards, 17 receiving touchdowns. He led college football in touchdowns, and he did it playing behind one of the top 2 receivers in the country. He still had 68 catches. That's huge. And I absolutely love this player. And if we choose to trade back a bit and get some more picks in this draft by trading the number 9, Brian Thomas Jr., he would be an absolute fantastic number 3 and might be just as good as MHJ and Neighbors. I mean, I'm willing to say that. It's actually possible, too, that Neighbors, he could even be available with the 9th pick. I know it sounds nuts, but check this out. Let's do a little mock, shall we? So the Bears, we draft Caleb Williams at 1. Washington goes Jaden Daniels at 2. New England drafts Drake May at 3. And it's rumored that not only does Arizona have this pick for sale big time, I mean, he's offering it during press conferences. It's rumored they have a deal in the works with the Minnesota Vikings at 4, and they get the deal done. Minnesota drafts J.J. McCarthy. So that is 3. That's 4 quarterbacks in the first 4 picks, and this could definitely be happening. At 5, the Chargers' Jim Harbaugh, he's been talking tons about building through the trenches, having a strong running game, having a strong offensive line. I could totally see Jim Harbaugh pulling the trigger on left tackle Joe Alt here. It's insane, but the Giants, they could actually have their choice of MHJ or Neighbors at 6. I think they go MHJ. Tennessee, they're a little unpredictable here. I think they're desperate for an offensive tackle to protect Levis. He was running for his life. They just signed Calvin Ridley to go with Hopkins. I could totally see them drafting Fashanu here, getting some offensive line help. Then you have the Falcons at 7. I think they go defense. They could pick Dallas Turner. So here's the scenario. It's crazy. At 9, we could have a choice between Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, Bowers at tight end could be a choice. And if these guys are in fact gone and the Bears are still set to draft a wideout, if that's still what they want to do, they will trade down and they could still get Thomas Jr. It's hard to lose here. Also, with the proceeds, they can get much needed defensive help in the second round as well. It's a huge win. There's also an argument to be made that once the Bears have Williams in place, they'll want to get as many pieces around him in a similar timeline. Trading back makes sense here. If they can improve their pass rush, not rush, excuse me. If they can improve their pass rush, right? Add to their receiving core and bolster their depth on the offensive line, and they can do it all at once, the rebuild, this is essentially over. The rebuild could be complete. From there, the Bears could focus all their attention to developing Williams, plugging the small remaining holes as needed. If the Bears want to go this route, the trade back, once again, it comes into play. It makes total sense. And we could be in an amazing situation here. We could come out of this with a dominant draft. We could have absolutely all of our team holes filled in this offseason. I absolutely can't wait. You guys, let me know what you think. That would be absolutely amazing if all these options were open and still available at when we pick number 9. I think it's totally possible. And it's also very wise. It's very doable to trade back, get at least a second round pick, get some other assets, and actually complete this rebuild right now. You guys, appreciate you guys. Bear down, and we'll talk soon. See ya.